Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a little bug here that we gotta try to figure out. I saw this one in particular because it's not a typical 9 by 9 Sudoku, so that's always quite interesting to have something that kind of breaks the convention a little bit. So, as you can see, it's called Caught the Puzzle Bug. You got little puzzles, pieces almost, and a little bug. So anyway, always love when we get kind of a, puzzle art going on these things too. It just makes it a little more interesting and more fun. So this one is by Gerhard 1963. In fact, I just did a video of one of their puzzles a couple of days ago. And it was the first one I had seen of their work, and it was quite good. So we've got another one that just happened to pop up here, and I'm going to give this one a go too. So hopefully we can get this thing put together and solved. That said, there'll be a link in the description below where you can pick this up and get going yourselves. That said, now let's get into our rule set. So it's not standard Sudoku rules, but we have irregular regions. So every row, column, and region indicated by a thick border within the grid must contain a complete set of digits 1 through 9. So the rows and columns act like normal Sudokus. We must have one set of 1 to 9 in all of them. Then once we get into our regions, there's a little bit of a difference now, as you can see. So these dark bordered are the regions. Cages. And a lot of people I've just noticed this, a lot of people have stopped putting killer cages as the rule set name of it. And I'm wondering if there's any reasoning why that's occurring, but just the last couple of them I've seen that, so maybe it's just a coincidence that they've done this in this case, but whatever, it's called cages. Digits in cages cannot repeat and must sum to the value shown in the upper left corner of the cage. So we can look at any of these, there's 20 cages per se. These 3 digits, whatever they are, must add up to that 20 value, and they cannot repeat. And then the only other rule set we have is thermometers. So digits on thermos are strictly increasing from bulb to tip. So let's just look at this guy down here. Essentially what it means is that this is the lowest digit on our thermometer because this is the bulb, and the digits will increase as they move up the thermo until they get to the bulb, and the bulb will be the highest digit within this entire thermo. And that's it. There you go. It's 3 rules, kind of, I won't say 2.5 because irregular regions is really its own kind of unique rule set here. But let's jump into this one and see if we can get it figured out. Now, the first and most easy thing that I see is we have a 2-cell 4 cage. So this has to be 1 and 3. It's the only possibilities that works there. What else do we have? Now, these 9 cages, we can't quite say much about them because there's multiple ways to make 9 and 3. This 5 cage, I'm hesitant to mark it. There's only 2 ways to make a 5 and 2 digits, which is 1, 4, and 2, 3. But it seems like they could be, there could be multiple ways of making that. Now, this 15 cage is actually quite interesting because we have part of it on a bulb, and it's not a short bulb. So there might be something here that we can work with. So just doing our options, it's either 9, 6, or 8, 7. Now, clearly this cannot be 9 or 8, and it can't be 7 either because of 8 or 9. So this has to be a 6, and therefore this has to be a 9. Now, if this has to be a 6, I'm thinking this is going to have to be 7, 8, 9. There's no other way to go about that. And this is going to have to be 8 and 9 as well. So we do get a little, it almost looks like a little tuning fork over here. It's the bug's body, or back end, I should say. But in this, if you look at it without looking at the overall, it kind of looks like a tuning fork. Anyway, I'm just going to babble on and as I do this, and that's just kind of the way it's going to work. Anyway, so now we have some digits to work with, and that's probably going to be beneficial. So the question is this going to give us enough? Not quite in this instance, in terms of the 9s and their thermos. Now, in this region, none of these can be 9. We can't put a 9 on here, and we can't put a 9 on the thermo there, so this must be the 9. Therefore, we have no 9s in any of these. This can't be a 9. This can't be a 9 by... Okay, so the middle region is an actual 3 by 3, which is good. So now this has to be 9. I think we can just kind of run with the 9s here. Yep, because these 3 9s all look in here. Normally that would blow out this box, but we have this little tab of our puzzle piece here that allows us to continue and put our 9 up here. Now, can we go any further with our 9s? Kind of. One of these two must be a 9. And I think that's all of our regions, if I'm not mistaken. No, this one right up here, I didn't get this guy. None of these can be 9s. This one not quite. Oh, none of these can be 9s, obviously, because this is a 9-cell cage. So one of these must be a 9. And therefore, this can't be a 9. And this is a 9. So there we go. We got some movement on our 9s. And we might be able to also do something with 8s if we start looking at them. But we can also just, we can actually just finish our 9s, because this is the one thing that, and for me, I say this quite often, is being able to see the puzzle. And sometimes when we've got some irregular things, it kind of throws off my eye, but this can't be a 9 because it's in this cage and you can't repeat digits. So we're going to end up just finishing our 9s completely. So let's do that. Now, next, what I was saying is that there might be something we can do with our 8s as well, because we're going to have a situation here, I think starting down here, where none of these can be 8s. This can't be an 8 because we can't go up anywhere with our thermo. This can't be 8 because we can't put a 9 on here. So this is the only place an 8 can go in this region here. Now, can we continue that? None of these can be 8s. None of these can be 8s. None of these can be 8s. So this little tab up here has to be an 8. And then what else goes forward? This region, okay, this region already has its 8. None of these can be 8s. This can't be an 8. One of these two could be. So let's mark that in this region. In these regions, there can't be an 8 in the 9 cage. But there could be 8s in, well, this can't be an 8 either, because we already have a 9 in the 15 cage. Again, we've got this cage, this cage that kind of crosses this border, and it diverts my eye for some reason. I'm not sure why that does it, but this can't be an 8 because it would be with the 9, and we'd get up to 17, and we only can go up to 15. So one of these must be an 8, which then removes this from being an 8, and this is an 8. And I think we can probably finish. Yes, we can. This has to be 8. And then what box do we have left? Is it just the middle? No, this box, this region here, I call them boxes, but I can't call them boxes because they're not boxes, they're puzzle pieces. None of these can be 8s. This can't be an 8. So one of these two is an 8. And then when we get into, yeah, there's not much we can do on this guy, I don't think. We know these can't be 8s, and we know this can't be an 8. But there's plenty of options in these 3 areas where we could have an 8. Now, is it possible for this guy to actually be an 8? Let's think about that. Well, yeah, because it leaves 5, so we can, well, can it? If this is an 8, we have 5 left over, which means it's either 2, 3, or 1, 4. 2, 3 will not work with the end here. 1, 4 would work if this is the 1 and this is the 4, because this would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that does work, and that kind of seems like we might get to that point here shortly. Because that seems like a very, not logical necessarily in terms of figuring it out, but it seems like that's just how things would work. Just kind of a, out there sort of thought on the puzzle itself. So from here, do we start using some Sudoku? Because the 8s now, we can't go any, at least not that I can see, we can't go any further with them. And there's not enough in the 7, I don't think, to do much, is there? Let's look at this region, because none of these can be 7. This can't be 7 because this can't be 8 or 9. So we actually do get a 7, a possibility of a 7 up here somewhere. No 7s, no 7s. Either of these could be 7s. Yeah, so these three could possibly have a 7 in them. Now, again, is it possible that there's a 7 on this 13 cage? Let's think about that for a second. Yeah, because we'd have 6 left over, and we could, well, can there ever be a 7 in here? Let's think about that harder, because I think that might not be correct. We know one of these is, let's put that in for just to have it there. One of these must be a 7 in this corner here. Can either one of these be a 7? Yeah, so no, the answer is that it can be, because I was thinking, these two, because we have a 7 and a 13, these two would have to be some other set of digits that adds up to that 6, but it would end up being the 7 is in one of these, and the other higher digit, whatever it may be, in terms of a 6, either 4 or 5, would work as the other digit here. So, all right, so that didn't quite do enough for us. Let's look at this. I think looking at the thermos and the possible options could help us, because we're going to have some restrictions about what can go on, especially the antennae. Is that the right way to say it? The limitations of what these could be. Now this could, so the maximum this can ever be is, well, let's look up here maybe, because this could be a better one. This is lower, because this could be up to an 8. But this one can only go up to a 7, because we have the 9 and the 8 already here. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 is kind of the concept here. And I'm going to leave it like this for the moment, just because this helps me view it. This could be 8, 7, and 6. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to, I don't see anything there specifically. Well, actually there's a 7 here, so this can never be a 7. So let's get rid of that, because that's not true either. Because if this is an 8, this can't be a 7, so the highest it could ever be a 6. And then this could get to a 5. Okay, so these could clearly be 1, 2, 3. These could be 2, 3, 4. These could be 3, 4, 5. These could be 4, 5, 6. This could be 5, 6, 7. And this could be 5, 6, 7, 8. Those seem to be our options here. Now let's take a look at what that creates. Now this can never be a 2. Can it? Because if this is a 2, we end up with a 9 and a 2 equaling 11. We need another 9, but we can't put another 9 in our cage. So this can't be 2. So therefore these can't be 3, which means these can't be 4, which means these can't be 5. So we're getting a little bit of a paring down of our options here, which is a good thing. So if this is a 9 to go with a 3, that gives us an 8, which is possible. If this is a 9 that goes with a 4, it leaves us with a 7, which is not possible. So this must be a 9, 3, 8 combo here. And does that 8 give us anything further? I don't think it does, no, because we still had those options there. We have one of these two must be an 8, is what it boils it down to. Now, if that's a 3, this can't be a 3. Now, we might have something here, because we've got this 13 cage. Now, what's the absolute maximum these two could be together is 13. Is it possible there is no 7 on these? Next in line would be 6 and 5, which does still work, so that's 11. We put a 2 here to make 13. Okay, so we don't quite have enough there. But we have a 4-5 pair here that I didn't see on this 16 cage. So this is a 16 cage. Again, it's just my eye sometimes. When we get these crossing over of lines, it takes me a second to visualize them. So we have a 4-5, which means they have to be 4 and 5 because they are in the same cage, which means that's 9. So therefore, this has to be a 7. If that's a 7, that has to be an 8. And therefore, this has to be an 8. And then we can get rid of our 8 over here. And our 8s are done along with our 9s now. Okay. So that's good. What's next here? I guess it would make sense just to continue to kind of look at our 7s now, because we have this extra 7 we've just discovered. So none of these can be in this region. I can't put a 7 on a 5, clearly. One of these must be a 7. So none of these can be 7s. There we go. So this must be a 7, because we have these guys looking in here into this region. So none of this could be, and then that 7 here is looking here. So this turns into a 7. 6, 5, 4. That's not quite there. These options here. So let's continue with our 7s. No 7s in any of these, but any of these could be elsewhere. This guy. One of these two. Because that one's not in either. But I don't think we can remove those as options, so it's not going to quite work. What about this 15 cage? Can we do anything with it? Because we already have a 9 in it, so we need to have 6 more. Okay, either have 5, 1, or 4, 2. Those are the only options. It doesn't seem like... Well, the interesting thing that does is it puts a 3 into this 9 cage. Now, is it interesting enough? Because it could still be 2, 3. Well, it can't be 2, 3. Yeah, it can be 2, 3, 4. Sorry. If it's 2, 3, 4, this would be 1, 5, and that would work perfectly fine. The other option would be if it was a 1 and a 3, and then we'd have to put 5 with it. But then that still works too, because this could be 2, 4. Okay. So we can't figure that out quite yet, it doesn't seem. Maybe there is a way to do it, but I don't think I see it. Looks like I said, well, okay, here's something else to look at. Where does this 6 go in this region? We know it doesn't go in any of these now. It can't go in this 9 because we can't put a 6 with the 3 because we'd already have 9. So therefore this just has to be 6. And this has to be 7. That's going to give us a 7 here and remove these as possible 7s. Did we do anything further now with our 7s? I don't think we have. Yeah, so still not quite yet. All right. Let's look further around and see what we've got. Now, these little legs that are coming in here, I looked at this one previously at a quick glance, just because I was starting to look at what the possibilities of it could be, because we're now down to 7, so 6, 5, 4. Can't put a 3 in here anywhere, but you can always have a 1, 2, or 4. I don't know that I like that too much. But maybe we do need to start putting in our... Well, let's look at 7 in this region. None of these can be 7, so this has to be 7 now. Oh, because I just got... Okay, I looked at this one previously, but because we still had this as an option, we couldn't determine it. But now that this 7's here, it removes that. So this is our 7, which means this is our 7. Okay, there we go. But we still have a 7 X-Wing here that we can't resolve at the moment. So do we go into our 6s? Let's look. How about looking in this region? Not that guy. This can't ever be 6. Because this would have to be either 7 or 8, and it can't be either. So one of these two is a 6, which means this is not a 6. So this is 7. This is 7. Now we've got a little bit more going. Is that it? That finished our 7s. Good. Okay. So maybe we can continue now moving with our 6s. None of these can be 6s just by basic Sudoku. This can't be a 6 because it would have to be 6, 6 1/4, 6 1/2, or something like that. And obviously that can't be 6. So this is 6. So now we have no 6s in any of these. One of these two has to be a 6. And I'll see how that 6 affects this thermo. 4, 3, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3 seem to be the options on that thermo, which is not quite as good as I thought it was. But let's look at this guy now, because this is going to have some impact, because we know this is a 6 in this 13 cage. So we know we have 7 left over, but we've already had the possibility of 1 or a 2. So this is either a 5 or a 6, and it can't be a 6. So this has to be a 5, and this has to be a 2. Now, if this is a 5, or this clearly can't be a 6, so this has to be our 6. Let's get rid of that information. And let's continue to look at this thermo now. So this could be 4, 3, 2, 3, and there's no way that this can ever be a 3, so this has to be 1, this has to be 3, so this has to be 4, this has to be 2, and this has to be what's left 5. Make sure we're looking at our actual regions and not 3 by 3 boxes. This has to be 5, which means this is 4 and 6. That 4 now breaks this 5 out. This can no longer be 4, so this can't be 2, because remember these had to equal to 6. And we can actually just finish this interior box. This has to be 4, and this has to be a 1. And we're looking over at this region. We've got 1 staring at it, so this is 1. Oops, clicked out of it accidentally. Let's get rid of that. This can't be 1, so this can't be 5. So we're starting to pare that one down a bit. We're going to be able to get this digit, which has to be, where is it, 2? That doesn't quite break that open, but these 2 digits might do something for us. We need a 3 and a 5. They do not. So in the row, or we can look at the region, the only things left are 3 and 5. Alrighty, okay, this 1 here does look down here. This can't be a 1, so this can't be a 2, and this can't be a 3. Was there anything further? No, not quite. Okay. What else did we learn on our thermos? Anything? Well, this is a 2-3 pair now, because we've got a 5. So once we remove that 1 that just happened, this becomes a 2-3 pair, which means this has to be 4 and 5. And if that's the case, these have to be from 1, 6. What is the other one I'm missing? Oh, no, I just did something wrong. Hold on. Again, it's the border and the irregular kind of threw me off there. This is not within this region. Okay, let's get back to it. Now let's do it the proper way. The 2 here sees this, so this is 3 and 2. Now we're doing better. I don't know why it is, but that these little things do kind of mess with my head. I've got to be very vigilant in how I'm looking at them. So what can this be? Let's start looking at that, because this seems to be like the most reduced possibilities here. It could be 6. Well, actually, it just has to be 6 with the 4 over here. Because the only way you can get from 4 to 7 in these couple of turns is to have 5 and 6. So there we go. Now this has to be 4. Therefore, this has to be 3. And that gets us where we want it to go. This 5 here gives us our 3 and our 5. We have a 1-2 pair left in this column. We've got a 2 here, so let's put our 1 in our 2, and now this forces this to be a 4. These 2 digits must be from 4 and 5. We've got a 4 here, so let's just put those in. And how about you guys? We need to have a 1, so it has to go here. And we have to have a 2, which has to go here. So this region is done. Now we can do this digit for this column. What's left is a 4. And further, let's just stay over here, I guess. These 3 digits have to be from 1, 3, and 5 from our column. This can't be 5 or 1, so it has to be 3. Get rid of that 3, and we know this has to be a 2 because we have to have some digit between 1 and 3. What could it possibly be? 2. We know these are 1 and 5, which equals 6, so therefore this has to be 3. That's not 3 anymore. Let's just get rid of it. And we know what this digit is. This is our region. Let's keep it straight. 1, 2, 3, 4. This has to be 6. We could have looked at the column as well, but this row has to have 1 and 5 left over. We have a 5 here, so let's put our 5 over here and our 1 over here. And we look at this a couple different ways. We know this is a 1 with a 3, which equals 4, so there has to be a 5, or we can look at the entire region and say there's no 5 left in here, and there's a 5 here. So this is 3 and 5. And we get a deet deet doot in the corner, which is always fun. We know what these two digits are, so we're going to be able to figure out what this one is. These have to be from 2 and 3, right? Yes, and we have 2s and 3s looking at it, so we can just fill them in as well. Those equal 5. This has to be 4 to finish the 9 cage. This we can either look at the column or the region. Let's do the region because I'm been terrible at that so far. This has to be a 6. And then we've got these two digits which have to be 1 and 5. We've got a 5 here, so let's put our 1 and 5 in. This digit is going to be given, then this digit, then the rest of them is going to just be a fill in. So that's going to be good. This has to be 2. This has to be 4. This has to be 6. And this has to be 1. There we go. Congrats. Cool and good. I think that might have been the same or very similar to the other puzzle by Gerhard, the yay congrats notification for. Anyway, that was a fun puzzle. You can't, no denying, this is just fun puzzling. Gerhard 1963 is becoming kind of a favorite these last couple of days because they've just been excellent puzzles to get into. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed that one. If you did, please comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me out greatly, and I really appreciate all your everyone's time and attention whenever you have the time to do so. So, hope you all enjoyed it once again, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.